You probably remember her as the sweet, golden-haired oldest sister on the Brady Bunch, Marcia Brady, the perfect teenager who seemed to have it all. But behind that wholesome smile was a very different story. Today we're peeling back the curtain on Maureen McCormick's life, the pressure of child stardom, the personal battles she fought in private, and the bold choices she made later to reclaim her identity. This is the story of a girl the world wanted to keep flawless, and the woman who finally decided to be real. Maureen was just 13 when she landed the role that would define her childhood. Overnight, she became America's idealized teen, photogenic, polite, and endlessly marketable. On screen, she laughed through sitcom mishaps and navigated teen drama with ease. Off-screen, however, the demands were relentless. A young actor's life is supposed to be exciting, but for Maureen it became confining. The world expected Marcia, always cheerful, always tidy, always perfect, and that expectation slowly began to shape everything she did. When the Brady Bunch ended, Maureen faced a cruel twist many child stars know all too well. The industry couldn't see past the part. Casting directors, audiences, and the press continued to associate her with that single role, and opportunities to grow as a performer were scarce. Rejection and typecasting took a toll. With fewer roles and fewer ways to express herself, Maureen struggled to find footing as an adult actor. Pressure turned inward. Loneliness turned into risky choices and candid interviews, and in her memoir, Maureen has spoken openly about the darker years that followed. She's admitted to battles with addiction, episodes of depression, and legal troubles that shocked fans who only ever saw a bright, smiling teenager. These confessions were hard-won, and they mattered. For the first time, the public got a glimpse of the private pain behind the Marcia Brady facade. It wasn't about scandal. It was about a very human struggle with identity and recovery. Years later, Maureen made a decision that startled people. She let go of the carefully managed image and posed for a photo shoot that presented a more adult, unfiltered self. Some fans were surprised. Others called it brave. But Maureen framed it differently. It wasn't about provocation. It was about honesty. The images were a statement. She was no longer defined by a teenage role, no longer trapped by an impossible standard. She was a woman who had survived, who had scars and stories, and who was finally ready to own them. That photo shoot and the memoir that followed became turning points. They weren't attempts to shock. They were acts of reclamation. Maureen used them to say, loud and clear, I am more than a character. She shared pain, mistakes, heartbreaks, and, crucially, the work she did to heal. People began to see her differently. Viewers who once only remembered Marcia Brady started to appreciate Maureen McCormick the way she wanted to be seen. Flawed, brave, honest. What's remarkable about Maureen's story is not the fall, it's the recovery. She sought help, worked through therapy and rehab, and gradually rebuilt a life rooted in self-acceptance rather than image. She returned to the public eye on her own terms, speaking candidly about mental health, participating in interviews, and reconnecting with fans who admired her courage. In doing so, she helped normalize the idea that celebrities have private battles, and that asking for help is a strength, not a weakness. Maureen's journey also reveals a larger cultural truth. We love neat, comforting narratives, the perfect family, the flawless teen. But real life is messy. When we reduce people to characters, we strip away their humanity. Maureen's choice to reveal herself, to trade the mask for truth, challenges that simplification. It invites empathy and reminds us that celebrities, like everyone else, deserve grace and complexity. Today, Maureen McCormick stands as a figure of resilience. She didn't erase her past. She integrated it. She used her platform to talk about recovery and identity, and in the process, she transformed public perception. Fans now remember her not only for the Marcia Brady hairstyle and the big smile, but for courage and candor. If there's a lesson here, it's simple. Authenticity matters. The bravest thing someone can do is be honest about who they are and what they've endured. Maureen's story shows that reclaiming your narrative, even when it surprises people, can be deeply liberating. She may have been America's sweetheart on TV, but in real life she became something more, a woman who learned to tell her own story in full.